right, welcome back, everyone. Well, I'm sure you've all seen some of the stories happening with the baby food crisis, where many Americans can't find food for their children while they're infants. It turns out, folks, that this is not just your normal crisis because government policy is one of the clearest causes of this problem. I'm going to be detailing exactly what's going on with that, why you can't get food for your infant unless you want to make it yourself, which there are ways to do it. It's not that complicated, and it used to be very common. But, folks, uh, we're going to go into how this is happening and exactly why right now these supplies are cut short. And frankly, it ties into the whole picture of everything else we've been looking at with the food shortages. Also, the NIH director is now admitting that secret payments that were made to, well, NIH leadership and many scientists working for them do look like a conflict of interest, as well, most of us have been saying it was for quite a while now. Also, folks, the FBI is targeting journalists. Be detailing a lot of these things and others. That said, folks, great having you all here. Real quick, for those of you on YouTube or Rumble, thanks for being here. Around the 20-minute mark, we will be jumping exclusively to Epic TV. There's a lot we can't talk about on YouTube without risking them banning us. The way YouTube works, a lot of things I can say on Epic TV, I cannot say on YouTube. If I say them on YouTube, they'll give me a strike. They give you 3 strikes, they delete your channel. So join us on Epic TV after we go over the first part of the show. We'll do questions over on Epic TV. We're going to give you a free 14-day trial. If you don't have that yet, jump into the description, get your free 14-day trial, come join us. And we're also offering a special deal right now because it's the 1-year anniversary of Epic TV, 50% off for the whole year. Get it now, folks. And also by doing that, you're supporting this channel and all the other great programming we have over on Epic TV. All right, that said, let's jump into the first story. I want to talk about what's happening with government policies creating, really, this whole baby formula shortage. Now, I'm going to go over a few different parts of this because I've seen a lot of different discussions. For example, baby formula getting shipped in pallets to these immigration facilities being used for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants being given access to American baby formula when many American citizens are unable to get food for their infants. And how the government the Biden administration has reacted to this as well. First off, though, let me talk about kind of the big picture, where this whole thing is starting from. And FEE had a great story on this. It says this: how government created the baby formula shortage and a black market for unapproved European exports. I'm going to detail a bit of this and give some of my takes on how this whole thing is happening. It says this: as many know, the U.S. is confronting a shortage in baby formula that has grown quite serious. What started as complaints on Twitter out of stock messages on Amazon, people were posting, of course, on Twitter saying, out of stock with this, trying to buy purchases of baby powder, turned into a national, turned into a national panic. All right, 1 second. That's why I have tea here. Taiwanese mountain tea, those of you curious. It says CBS News reports that at retailers across the country, some 40% of the top-selling baby formula products were out of stock as of late April. 40% out of stock among the top sellers, according to analysis from Data Assembly. Further down, it says this: on Monday, Press Secretary Jen Psaki said the government is doing its best to address the shortage, noting that manufacturers say they're producing at full capacity following a product recall by the Food and Drug Administration. And this is where the crisis is coming from, at least on the surface. Further down, it says this: as Eric Bohm pointed out at Reason, part of the shortage stems from a suspected bacterial outbreak at an Abbott plant in Michigan, which prompted the recall of 3 major brands of powdered formula. Matters were made worse when the plant was subsequently shut down for the FDA to do its inspections. So, in other words, they thought there was a bacterial infection happening with the baby powder. FDA shut it down. That one plant is the bottleneck for the supplies. That one plant is one of the main suppliers for 3 major brands. And so those 3 major brands had to recall a lot of their products, which is why, again, you have about 40% of them off the market. Further in, it says this, though: a closer look at U.S. trade and regulatory policies reveals the government itself is primarily responsible for the baby formula shortage, and adds that few may realize it, but baby formula is one of the most regulated food products in America. Now, just to be clear, the crisis that's now, well, people who have infants are facing right now with finding food for their infants is not necessarily, at least in my analysis, not necessarily a Biden administration policy or Trump policy or an Obama policy. This is a policy overall of the FDA over regulating one industry and ironically regulating it in a way that's probably not making things any safer. Let me explain a bit of the European baby formula element to this. A lot of people buy, well, what you call black market formula from Europe because you can get things like goat milk, like unpasteurized milk, things that are actually more healthy for your infant. Those things are illegal in the United States because the FDA has some of the strictest regulations on baby formula, like in the world, right? One of the strictest in the U.S. at least. This means that people can only buy from certain manufacturers, and they're so tight in these regulations that essentially it created a bottleneck at one of these manufacturing plants that supplies to all these major producers. This is classic like Austrian economics when you have state interventionist policies get involved in something and then cause a crisis because the state interventionist policies tend to form monopolies, right? When the government intervenes in something, they subsidize something in one way, for example, or they restrict something. What that does is it creates monopolies because it shuts down fair competition. When it shuts down fair competition, of course, people either have to go through expensive procedures in order to get the approval, which many people cannot afford and many companies cannot afford. That means they have to kind of have a I scratch your back, you scratch mine relationship with the government. So much on this point now that again you have one company that's become the bottleneck of the whole supply chain. What happens, and the other side of that is, of course, when you have government subsidies, where the government will subsidize one industry, which also creates monopolies and also shuts people out of the market. Corn, for example, is a great example of this. One of the reasons why, for example, high fructose corn syrup is so commonly used in the United States and it's illegal in some countries, like even you go to some Latin American countries, their soda has cane sugar and they don't give you high fructose corn syrup because it's bad for you and it's actually more expensive. When you talk about like obesity epidemics and stuff like this, high fructose corn syrup is bad for you. That is a product caused by state interventionist policies in the form of subsidies. Again, one of the problems you have then is that shuts out normal products people would be planting and that damages the overall market. Classic Austrian economics crisis we have right here. Basically, again, the baby formula crisis. This is mostly because of a bacterial outbreak at a plant in Michigan. That one plant we said that caused, again, as a supplier to some of these major brands. That led to a recall of these different brands. They're now saying something like, what was it? Several weeks before it gets opened back up again. Now, I can tell you all that there are ways to make homemade baby formula. In fact, old cookbooks, if you read like old cookbooks, they have actually recipes on how to make baby formula. It's not complicated. If you have an infant at home, they are not difficult to make. They'll tell you what's unsafe, but folks, this is coming from the FDA that sells products through its regulations, right? They'll ban European products, but most baby formula made in the United States is so unhealthy that it's illegal in Europe. And so it's not healthy in terms of what they're giving your infant here as well. But again, they're restricting the market. So only that one really unhealthy product is what you can buy. Now, again, the plant has been shut down for FDA inspection. It's going to be a while before it gets up. I think something like, 3 months or something insane like that, unless they've fixed it. The problem, as the FEE notes, is that the FDA regulations of baby formula are so tight that they limited approval to mostly just that one plant. Government policies, again, created this. Now, on this note, too, the government has been seizing as well these baby formula shipments. A lot of people, because they can't buy baby formula, what are they doing? They're turning to other countries. I mentioned before, a lot of people actually go to Europe. Europe is technically a black market for baby formula. The FDA, or well, in this case, Customs and Border Protection, they've actually been seizing baby formula. People trying to import it from other countries, even though, look, you can't buy it here because, again, it's sold out. What happens? You look for another way to buy it. What happens when you can't buy it? You don't want to, maybe you trust the FDA and you don't want to make it yourself. Or, for example, you can't find it in the stores. What are your other options? Let your baby starve? I'll get into the government's answers on this. Jen Psaki suggesting, well, call your doctor, basically. I'll show you that in a bit. But folks, April 2021, Customs and Border Protection seized 588 cases of baby formula in Philadelphia. And so look, they do this stuff. You try to import it, they seize it. And again, it's because it's a highly regulated market where even imports that challenge that are restricted. Now, that said, of course, there should be some regulations. Otherwise, you end up with what you have in China, where infants were dying from melamine poisoning because people were using melamine, which is like some chemical extract, in place of baby formula because it's like by the penny cheaper or something like that. And so you do have a few different layers to this, but again, it's the extremely tight, one extreme or the other, right? This is the other extreme where the regulations are so tight that it ends up breaking the market. That is what's happening with the baby formula right now. Now, real quick, folks, of course, we do have sponsors. We're demonetized on YouTube. And of course, everyone on Epic TV, you're helping this channel keep going. But tonight's episode is also brought to you by Secure. Over 155 million Americans are affected by data leaks in 2020. The average American had their personal data stolen about 4 times over the year. People get anxious because they can't protect their online data or their online security. But now there's a new email and messenger app called Secure. That's Secur. That can give privacy and security for sending emails and messages. Secure's data center and server are hosted in Switzerland. That's important because Switzerland has the strictest data privacy laws in the world. Secure is also the only private and secure email and messaging app that does not rely on big tech companies like Amazon, Google, or Microsoft, which also means it's not subject to the Intrusive Cloud Act. Secure does not ask for your phone number, does not mine your data, and does not upload your contacts. It functions by adding people then adding their secure number, and you can add people to it by sending them an invite. Also, folks, you're protected from hackers getting on your phone using this. It gives a lot of security. It's $5 for the messenger or $10 for the email and messenger package. You can visit secure.com today for a free 7-day trial, or you can use the promo code Joshua to get 25% off. And big thanks out to Secure for sponsoring tonight's episode. Now, let's go deeper into what's happening right now with this, crisis. Americans, we've been talking about a possibility, very likely possibility of a food crisis hitting the United States. And again, that's caused by many different factors. One, the fertilizers being the biggest. We won't go over this. Last episode, we went really deep into this. Again, fertilizers being the biggest, but you also have a lot of other factors playing into it, shipping crisis and other things. Now, infants in America are feeling the food crisis. Infants in America are the first ones to find that, hey, there's no way to feed myself if mom is unable to breastfeed and mom and dad are unable to buy food from the store for me, right? That's the crisis now facing infants. The government will not let people have other options like ordering baby formula from Europe. And they're also warning people against making their own. In a lot of countries, people do that. In Cambodia, I know because my wife's Cambodian. They'll even use like rice porridge to feed infants. There's many ways you can make homemade baby formula that's perfectly safe. But again, a lot of people will not do that because the FDA does warn against it, again, because of the tight policies. So given the situation for people who can't buy it in the stores, can't order it, and are afraid to make it themselves, what are their options, right? They're looking to the government right now for some options. What is the government doing to make sure that Americans can feed their infants? Washington Examiner says this: illegal migrants first to get pallets of hard-to-find baby formula. So that's one of the things they're doing. They're making sure that non-Americans entering the United States illegally can get it while Americans cannot get it. It says this: the nationwide shortage of baby formula that has sent mothers desperately rushing from store to store has evaded one lucky group: illegal immigrants detained by Border Patrol. According to videos posted by a Florida lawmaker, the Biden administration has been shipping pallets of baby formula to migrant holding facilities. And this is a quote from Republican Representative Kamrak, who said they are sending pallets of baby formula to the border, and added, meanwhile, in our own district at home, we cannot find baby formula. And she said this holding a photo of empty shelves where the baby formula normally would be. Let me show you the actual tweet from that. This is from Kat Kamek. She said this is what she said on Twitter. She said the first photo is from this morning at the Ursula Processing Center at the U.S. border. shelves and pallets packed with formula. The second is from a shelf right here at home. Formula is scarce. This is what America last looks like. That's America last, folks. You heard of America first. That's America last. Americans can't feed their infants. No baby formula in the stores. You can't buy it from elsewhere. The government's saying, don't make it yourself. No way to feed your infants. They're taking what's left of it or what is available, and they're sending it to people who are illegally entering the country. Now, what is Jen Psaki saying about this? What is the Biden administration's official message on this? Let me show you a video. This is the post-millennial video channel showing Jen Psaki. Let me play this for you all.
Since you said it was a public health question, which agency should that question be directed to? Just the very practical, immediate question of if you can't find formula and you need it for your baby to eat, what should they be doing?
We would certainly encourage any parent who has concerns about their child's health or well-being to call their doctor or pediatrician.
Since you said it.
There you have it. Don't make it yourself. You can't buy it from stores. It's illegal to buy it from other countries like Europe. What do? Well, the only option, apparently, according to the government, is call your doctor. No food, go to the doctor. Now, last I checked, the doctor does not have food stores readily available for people. Maybe they'll put your infant on like an IV or life support or something like that until they fix all the crisis happening right now with the food supply. I don't know what she's suggesting, but that's the official message right now from the Biden administration. Not, reduce regulations, not force these plants, make the FDA rush this and get this approved and get things rolling again. It's call your doctor. Now, meanwhile, there are people who are suspecting other forms of foul play. I mentioned a couple factors with this, one of them being just bad government policy restricting the supply. And when you have a crisis, as one did happen, well, that again causes a big problem. Now, that's not writing off the possibility that the crisis that took place at that one facility that manufactures, again, ingredients used at a lot of these major companies, there's a possibility that had foul play as well. The FDA is actually investigating that. Maybe there is foul play, maybe there isn't. But a lot of people are also suspecting that something it works here. Something suspicious is happening. Now, when we talk about the food supply, when we talk about COVID, when we talk about lockdowns, election integrity, again, the COVID crisis being used as the excuse for all of this. When it comes to, for example, farmland in America, what is one of the weird common threads we keep finding? Well, people keep finding that Bill Gates seems to have a weird intuition with these things. This is Candace Owens pointing this out. Candace Owens says on Twitter, doesn't Bill Gates just have the best luck? Just like with the COVID vaccine, he makes an investment, and then suddenly there's a pandemic or shortage, and everyone must line up for his product. And of course, he's invested in lab-produced breast milk. Now, not saying that Bill Gates had anything to do with this. Maybe he's like the oracle. He just has a real incredible predictive investment nature and buying up industries right before they go into crisis, supporting his new worldview. But here you have the very strange situation that Bill Gates is also invested in making lab-produced breast milk at the same time when, again, you have organizations causing a shortage on meat and he's doing lab-grown meat. And there are different organizations talking about their intention of making meat, for example, a luxury food where it's so expensive that you can maybe only eat it sometimes. Well, he's at the front line of all these things somehow. Now, there's some stuff I want to detail on this that we can't talk about on YouTube because they'll probably block my channel or give me a strike. Again, you get 3 strikes on YouTube, they kick you off. But I want to talk about some of the other elements with this, which is how, again, people who've been vaccinated, mother's breast milk is in fact affected by this. And I'll be showing you the actual CDC websites. I'll be showing you the actual FDA documents on the Pfizer vaccine. I'm going to show you the actual text. In other words, this is not rumor. I'm not making stuff up. I'm going to show you the original sources and what they actually say. If you're a mother and you've been vaccinated, you are passing on elements from that to your infant. And there have been hospitalizations and serious health issues caused by this. I'll show you the actual numbers from the documents themselves. That said, though, again, we can't talk about this on YouTube because they'll probably block my channel. So if you don't have a subscription yet to Epic TV, jump in the chat, jump in the description right now for the subscription. We're going to give you a free 14-day trial. And also, again, we have a special offer right now, 1 year, 50% off. It's the 1 year anniversary of Epic TV. And again, folks, it's your support on Epic TV that's keeping this channel going. We do an hour-and-a-half show, so still a whole lot of time to talk. Get that. Come over with us. First, though, I want to show you a quick trailer. Folks, we have a new documentary out. This is from our team out in California. I helped advise on some of this. It's California's Vanishing Dream, Behind the Rise in Crime. It's an investigative documentary looking into the crime wave in California and the, well, systems and policies that have caused this to happen. Be sure to check it out. Let me show you a quick trailer of that.
Violent crime is way up, plaguing our local communities right now. I don't even care where you are in the city. You will feel it.
We don't wear jewelry anymore. We don't wear our watches. The escalation in crime is forcing us to change our living habits.
Why is crime going up? Why is this happening?
By the time the cops show up, they're gone.
We're spread far, too far. With that, the crooks know it. So
you can make statistics say whatever you want.
What about the police? Sometimes it's better not to do anything. If you could commit crime and not go to jail, what would you do? Would you stop doing it?
We've seen an effort to just reduce sentences altogether.
You do all that, you don't have much of a system left.
If it were as simple as just an incarceration model, I think we would all sign up for it.
All right, again, folks, that's already out on Epic TV. Be sure to check it out if you haven't already. That said, again, come join us on Epic TV. I want to talk about the what the actual CDC and Pfizer documents say about mothers who breastfeed if you've been vaccinated and how that might affect your infant, because this is becoming a serious issue when there's again, baby formula crisis happening right now. This is going to affect infants based on the numbers. Join us on Epic TV. We'll be discussing this now. All right, folks, thank you for being here. Let's talk about what's happening with this. I want to show you first the CDC